One day, the world was shaken by the sudden appearance of a giant tower that soared into the sky without warning. Each floor of the tower was filled with terrifying monsters from another world. Many people entered the tower, hoping for a better fate. However, once they entered, there was no way back. At the base floor of the tower, a city called Babylon stood, where hunters gathered to plan their journeys to the higher floors. The latest news shocked the world. The Black Dragon Guild failed to conquer the 40th floor, defeated by the legendary figure, the Flame Emperor, Soha. At the age of 20, Soha gained an incredible skill and became the only one to successfully defeat the tower's boss monster. The whole world worships him as a hero, but not everyone sees him that way. A young man sits in a messy room, staring at his laptop screen. He admires Soha, even though the man's reputation is full of controversy. During an interview, Soha said, "Those who succeed will succeed, but if you stand in my way, I will kill you." Those words shattered the young man who idolized him. Admiration turned into disappointment and anger. The young man felt hopeless. He imagined how his life would change if he had a skill like the Flame Emperor. However, he was just an F-class hunter without any abilities. As feelings of envy and frustration overcame him, a bright light suddenly appeared. He knew this was the moment when the tower system granted a hunter a skill. However, this experience felt different. The light seemed to react to the envy he was feeling. A notification appeared before him, revealing the skill he had just received. The skill, I want to be like you. Level, S rank. Effect, activates after death. After being killed by an enemy, you can copy one of the enemy's skills. The skill is copied at random. You cannot copy skills from an enemy who has killed you before. The young man fell silent. Finally, he obtained an S rank skill, but with a terrible condition. The skill only activates after his death. The young man finally went outside. His feelings were in turmoil. Standing by the roadside, he leaned against the cold wall to calm himself down. Suddenly, a woman's scream broke the silence. He turned and saw the Fire Emperor with Saint Isabel, a famous hunter, arguing in the corner of the deserted building. Isabel looked angry. Meanwhile, the Fire Emperor spoke in a sly tone. "I've already poisoned your drink," he said, taking out a small bottle filled with blue liquid. Isabel was shocked, and the Fire Emperor continued his explanation about the deadly poison from the basilisk monster. He accused Isabel of planning to poison him first, and with a cold tone, he threw the bottle to the ground. Isabel tried to defend herself, but the Fire Emperor didn't believe her. He grabbed Isabel's neck while threatening her, saying, "It's useless to lie to me. Who ordered you to kill me? Was it the witch from the Black Dragon Guild?" Isabel finally nodded weakly. There was fear in her eyes. "Just as I suspected," said the Fire Emperor coldly. Flames burst from his hand, incinerating Isabel in an instant. The young man, who witnessed everything from behind the wall, was horrified. His trust in the Fire Emperor was shattered in an instant. The person he thought was a hero turned out to be a merciless killer. Startled, the young man accidentally stepped on a shard of glass. The sound caught the Fire Emperor's attention. "I thought I had already driven out all the rats," he muttered, staring at the young man with a cold gaze. The Fire Emperor attacked the young man without warning, knocking him to the ground. The Fire Emperor grabbed him by the neck. His eyes were filled with a murderous intent. "Who sent you?" he asked sharply. "I didn't see anything," the young man replied, trembling. However, the Fire Emperor didn't believe him. "You still saw everything." Before burning the young man alive, a distant voice echoed in his mind. "Your name is Kim. You must become a great person." In his fading consciousness, another system notification appeared, fully copying Hunter Soha's skill. Creating skill cards, 3 cards appeared: bronze, silver, and gold. With new hope, Kim chose the gold card. Selection complete. Copying skill. Kim woke up. Cold sweat covered him. On his laptop screen, News about the Black Dragon Guild failing on the 40th floor echoed. The Fire Emperor charged at the boss alone again. The sound of the news echoed in his head. Kim was stunned, confused by what had just happened. Kim woke up in confusion. Didn't I already die? He thought, recalling the attack from Soha, the Fire Emperor. With trembling hands, he opened the system window. "Open skill card," he exclaimed inwardly. A window appeared. Rewind watch. Level X. Its effect returns him to 24 hours before death, with all memories and abilities retained. However, there is a penalty if the level increases. Kim realized he had returned to the time before his death. This is the legendary power of the Fire Emperor. Is this the reason Soha killed Saint Isabel? Can fate be changed? He thought. He felt a new hope. Suddenly, the commotion outside the house caught his attention. A fire had broken out near his residence. Kim rushed out with a weapon in hand. The city of Babylon, built by the hunters, was now in a panic. The fire was raging fiercely. In the midst of the crowd, a woman with dark hair was leading the evacuation. She was the leader of the Black Dragon Guild, known as the Black Witch. A woman in armor, a member of the Holy Knight Guild, was helping. We should be grateful. They say this city has been abandoned for 5 years. Kim arrived at the fire scene and saw the Fire Emperor approach jokingly. "Who is playing with fire without my permission?" he said. People asked for his help, but he just laughed. "I'm not interested if there's no reward." Kim trembled with anger. This psychopath burned his own city and demanded payment to put it out. He thought. The Fire Emperor then left, leaving the fire to grow. Without hesitation, Kim decided to confront the Fire Emperor. He's a monster that must be killed. Thinking that, Kim ran toward the blazing fire. People screamed, but he didn't care. He then set himself on fire. The Fire Emperor only watched coldly as Kim burned alive. A system notification sounded. "You are dead." Back to 24 hours earlier. Kim woke up again in his room. "I can't possibly kill him now," he thought. Even if he succeeded, the Fire Emperor would also come back to life, just like him. Kim remembered Soha's interview where she said she got her powers 11 years ago on her birthday, June 7th. That means 4,050 days ago. Kim realized that the only way to kill Soha was to go back to the day when she was still an ordinary hunter, before she got her powers. For that, Kim had to die 4,050 times. Without hesitation, Kim stabbed himself. The system notification sounded again. "You are dead." Kim woke up again. Only 4,049 times left. He thought resolutely. He kept repeating his death, again and again, until finally he felt this was his last attempt. The wall clock ticked softly, filling the silence in Kim's room. He lay on his bed, holding a cold knife, staring blankly at the sky. Around him, the atmosphere felt different, quieter, emptier. In front of him, the calendar showed a date that confirmed his success. He really did go back 11 years. Exactly one day before Soha became a legend as the Fire Emperor. However, this success came at a high price. He had died over 30 more times than originally planned. As a result, he arrived 1 month earlier than he should have. Slowly, Kim got up from the bed. Fatigue weighed down his body. However, the determination in his eyes burned brightly. "It's time to hunt," he muttered to himself. For the next few days, Kim kept observing Soha. Every step, every habit, he studied them all carefully. When the important day arrived, Kim had already repeated it 10 times. He deliberately died over and over again to memorize every event perfectly. That day began. At 9 a.m., Soha left her apartment. In the afternoon, she was seen on the 2nd floor of the tower, hunting slime monsters while grumbling. Kim followed from behind, clearing everything out of the way, every monster that blocked his path. When Soha got bored and moved to the 6th floor, Kim knew this was the moment. For the next 36 minutes, only the two of them were in that area. Without hesitation, Kim approached Soha, pretending to be injured by a wolf attack, and asked for help. Soha, with an indifferent attitude, asked how much Kim would pay for a healing potion. After a brief negotiation, Soha began to extort Kim, taking his wallet. Not satisfied with what he got, a malicious intent appeared in his eyes. "I don't want to live with regrets. Since you've already seen my face, it's better for you to die," said Soha as he pointed his spear with murderous intent. Kim stopped pretending. With unexpected speed, he kicked Soha in the stomach, knocking him down. Without wasting any time, Kim drew his knife and stabbed Soha until he was left helpless. Kim's cold gaze stared at his prey. "It's finally over," he thought as he ended Soha's life. The hungry wolves began to approach, but Kim no longer cared. He left Soha's body to become prey for those animals. After changing his clothes, Kim went down to the first floor, enjoying the sense of satisfaction that filled him. Night fell, and Kim celebrated his success at a bar. While enjoying his drink, he opened his system window and realized that all his skills were passive. However, he didn't really care. With the information he had, he was confident he could still take advantage of many opportunities. As he was lost in thought, a middle-aged man entered the bar. He was tall and broad, dressed neatly with red shoes. The man looked like a veteran hunter. He sat near Kim, and when Kim glanced at the television, he was surprised. The man's face appeared on the TV screen. He was Sword Saint, the legend who was rumored to be missing. In the dangerous world of hunters, the name Sword Saint, Marcus Challenberry, was like a star shining in the dark night. Before the rise of the Fire Emperor, he was the strongest. However, when the Fire Emperor took the stage, Sword Saint seemed to disappear. Kim is now in the past, when Sword Saint was still in his prime. While enjoying his drink, Kim is thinking of a crazy idea. What if he died at the hands of Sword Saint and copied his S-rank skill? No one could stop his ability to come back to life. Driven by curiosity, Kim searched for information about Sword Saint, but that figure was so mysterious. Suddenly, a loud noise caught his attention. Sword Saint seemed to be arguing with himself. Kim was stunned. Maybe this was a strange habit of top-class hunters? The latest news revealed an incident where Sword Saint killed a hunter who mocked his grandson. Kim made a mental note. Never mention his grandson if you want to stay alive. After Sword Saint left the bar, Kim decided to follow him. In the midst of the nighttime crowd, he silently tailed the legend, curious about what skill he might possess. However, when they arrived at a quiet location, Sword Saint stopped and said, "Come out." Kim, realizing he had been discovered, came out of his hiding place. "I've come with a request," he said politely. However, Sword Saint's expression changed. "Stop pretending. You can't fool me," he said in a threatening tone. Kim was confused and asked for an explanation. Sword Saint explained that one of his skills allowed him to see the number of people his opponent had killed. Kim was shocked. So he can see a kill count above people's heads, Kim thought, imagining the number 1 above Soha. However, Sword Saint didn't believe Kim when he said he had only killed one person. To him, Kim was a legendary killer with the number 4091 above his head. The number shocked Kim because it was made up of the one person he killed and the 4090 times he killed himself. Realizing the misunderstanding, Kim knew that every time Sword Saint saw him, he would try to kill him. The tension kept rising as Sword Saint approached. With no other choice, Kim tried to escape from the legend's attack. Kim breathed a sigh of relief after successfully dodging Sword Saint's attack. However, it was short-lived. Sword Saint's eyes stared sharply, full of conviction that Kim was a dangerous killer. As he tried to escape, Kim slipped on a slippery rock. His body was thrown to the ground. Pain spread throughout his body. When he tried to get up, Sword Saint's sword was already poised to strike. Suddenly, Sword Saint's movement stopped. He shouted, as if arguing with someone invisible. His voice was full of anger. Kim was confused. Is this one of Sword Saint's special abilities? He started to worry. Did Sword Saint spread false information about him being a cold-blooded killer? The image of a public execution at Babylon Plaza haunted his mind. Kim knew he had to act before 24 hours passed. In his confusion, Kim tried to provoke Sword Saint's emotions. By mentioning his granddaughter, Sword Saint's anger exploded instantly. His sword moved incredibly fast. The world seemed to spin for Kim, but the pain quickly disappeared, replaced by an indescribable beauty. The system then announced, "You are dead. Skill card is being created." Kim felt happy. However, when the cards appeared, none of them were gold. They were all just bronze and silver. Kim was stunned. He couldn't believe that a legendary hunter like Sword Saint didn't have any S-rank skills. Although disappointed, he still chose one of the silver cards. The system chimed. Selection complete. The skill will be copied. Kim woke up in his room 24 hours earlier. Quickly, Kim opened the system window and found an A-rank skill, Sword Throne. It was a passive skill. He could only resign himself to it, feeling that he had missed a great opportunity. Suddenly, the deep voice of a man was heard. Kim turned around and saw a large man lying with his back to him, telling him not to disturb his rest. Kim could only stand there in shock, confused by the situation. Kim felt a cold shiver run through his body as he realized the presence of the large figure beside him. The man opened his eyes and stared at Kim in astonishment. Without saying a word, Kim began to check the information from his system. He realized that the figure was the spirit of a powerful hunter from another world, who had accidentally become his new skill, Sword Throne. The spirit was a hunter who managed to reach the 99th floor but failed on the 100th floor of the tower. And now, he's trapped as a spirit who can only communicate with the owner of his skill. Kim tries to explain the situation, that he accidentally copied the spirit. The figure gets even angrier and orders Kim to return him to the Sword Saint. However, Kim is confused about how to do it, especially after realizing the reason Sword often talks to himself is because he's actually talking to this spirit. Kim is frustrated because he got a skill that seems useless. Kim then explains his background, how he had to die 4,090 times to kill an evil hunter and copy his opponent's skill. The spirit is amazed by Kim's sacrifice, having died thousands of times just to achieve his goal. The spirit then challenges Kim to show his abilities. Kim goes up to a floor of the tower and faces the monster with complete composure, successfully defeating it with a precise attack. The spirit, who was once known as the Sword Emperor, is impressed by Kim's perseverance. The Sword Emperor explains that although Kim is not a martial artist, he possesses a rare advantage. He is not afraid of death. For the Sword Emperor, this is an extraordinary talent that few others possess. The Sword Emperor decides to guide Kim further, fascinated by his great potential, not because of his fighting skills, but because of his extraordinary courage in facing death. With renewed spirit, Kim is ready to face greater challenges alongside the Sword Emperor. Morning has just broken over Babylon. The Sword Emperor, full of energy, wakes Kim from his sleep. "Wake up, zombie," he shouts. "Your potential is great, but your body is weak," he continues. "You need special training, but it won't be cheap. Let's try our luck in the lottery. Maybe that's the way out." In Babylon, a major guild called Sangryun, or the Merchant Guild, is led by a woman nicknamed the Noble Lady, who holds the 3rd rank in the tower. This guild controls the tower's economy, including being the only place that sells lottery tickets. Kim also buys a ticket. After learning the lottery numbers with his ability, Kim goes to the Merchant Guild. He hands the lottery ticket to a cheerful-looking employee. When it is checked, the employee's expression turns to shock. The ticket Kim is holding is the grand prize winner. A commotion breaks out. The employee immediately goes to call the manager. Not long after, Arthur Tyler, the manager who has been given the nickname the Trusted Guardian by the tower, appears and introduces himself. Arthur invites Kim to the VIP room to discuss the prize. In the VIP room, Kim is greeted by a pile of 50,000 gold coins. Kim's eyes are fixed on that huge amount. The Trusted Guard offers 2 options: to take the coins or to store them at the Merchant Guild. Kim thinks for a moment before deciding to store his coins.
"I want to buy the honorary member title at the Merchant Guild," he says confidently. "It takes 10,000 coins to become an honorary member, not second class. I'll pay in advance." He also asks that his identity be kept secret and that the trusted guard find him a better new house. The trusted guard looked impressed with Kim's thorough plan. "You've really thought of everything," he said before leaving. Kim smiled in satisfaction. After 4,000 deaths and a long journey, he is now ready to face new challenges with full confidence. Under the bright morning sunlight, the Sword Emperor revealed his next grand plan to Kim. Kim was given two choices: to study the martial arts scroll or to use medicine to enhance his physical abilities. Studying the scroll was considered unfeasible at this point, leaving medicine as the only option, and Kim needed the best medicine. The Sword Emperor mentioned an excellent medicine shop. However, when Kim arrived at the location, anxiety began to set in. It turned out that the shop was frequented by the Sword Saint. Kim felt that the shop was too dangerous to choose. Kim then opened his phone and checked the hunter ranking list. But after scrolling through the list up to the top 300, the name he was looking for couldn't be found. With firm determination, Kim decided to look for a great alchemist of his time, who could provide the needed medicine at an affordable price. Without hesitation, Kim headed to the outskirts of Babylon, which looked run down and was filled with suspicious people. He stopped in his tracks when he saw a group of men arguing with a young girl with green hair. The girl looked frustrated because her belongings were being confiscated by the rough men. She seemed helpless and finally let her things be taken. Kim approached the girl, who looked disheveled. Kim knew that the girl was a genius alchemist of her time, who was not yet widely known, but in the future, she would be among the top 5 hunters and become the leader of the Alchemist Guild. Kim was sure that this alchemist could provide the desired medicine at an affordable price. Kim decided to become the main customer at the girl's alchemist shop. He was determined to build a good relationship and make sure this girl alchemist would remember him as a valuable customer and a reliable friend in the future. Kim stepped into the shabby and messy medicine shop owned by the girl alchemist. Kim checked the girl alchemist's access to funds from her savings at the trade guild, making sure that cost would not be an obstacle. Although doubtful about the girl alchemist's abilities, the Sword Emperor finally handed over the desired recipe, believing that this was the only way to move forward. The potion was promised to be finished in 4 days. Although Kim's knowledge of the future showed that a potion that complex usually took up to a year and a half, Kim ignored those concerns. 4 days was not a problem. 4 days later, Kim was in his new house. The alchemist girl came carrying many boxes filled with the potions he had ordered. With doubt in her eyes, the alchemist girl questioned Kim's decision to entrust the job to her, revealing that people often treated her like a crazy person. Kim pondered the reason behind his decision, then explained that support between hunters was important and that he wanted the best for both of them. The alchemist girl was stunned, then smiled and shook Kim's hand, agreeing that their success was the first step to changing the world. After saying goodbye, Kim returned to the 3rd floor of the tower with the Sword Emperor. This area was filled with orc and goblin monsters that were quite difficult to face in his current condition. The Sword Emperor asked Kim to drink a potion before fighting. Kim drank the potion, which had a lemon and honey flavor that wasn't too special, but he immediately felt a sharp pain in his chest. Something powerful seemed to awaken inside him. The Sword Emperor noticed the change in Kim with a meaningful smile, describing the sensation Kim felt, as if an invisible aura had become tangible. This aura, according to the Sword Emperor, is a power that every hunter possesses when entering the tower, although most are unaware of it. Kim's ability to control this aura will determine how far he can progress. Usually, meditation is required to feel the flow of this aura, but the process takes a long time. The Sword Emperor added that because Kim lacks natural talent, he has to work hard to reach his maximum potential. Kim, who is trying to adapt to the effects of the new potion, is caught in a tense situation. A large orc monster approaches from behind, ready to attack. The Sword Emperor deliberately put Kim in a position where he had to surpass his own limits. In this situation, Kim is forced to fight the orc monster without fully mastering his aura, with the Sword Emperor continuously giving instructions to speed up his adaptation. Kim tries hard to understand the aura flowing through his body while dodging the fierce attacks from the orc monster. With blazing determination, Kim decides to stop dodging. He gathers aura in his legs, draws his knife, and leaps high to rain down powerful attacks on the orc monster. Kim's knife pierces the monster's chest, but the huge creature still stands tall. Under the guidance of the Sword Emperor, Kim focuses his aura on the knife, struggling hard to strengthen his attack. After an exhausting struggle, the orc monster finally falls, lying helpless on the ground. Kim feels his whole body aching from excessive use of aura. Although the Sword Emperor feels satisfied, he gives Kim a bit of praise, highlighting Kim's ability to revive as an important factor in this training. The Sword Emperor mentions that if this continues, dying 100 times might be enough to fully master aura. Suddenly, an attack from behind surprises Kim. A new orc monster appears and attacks him. Kim has died. Kim rises in an in-between world. The Sword Emperor, who is in the same room, looks surprised by Kim's explanation that this place is a temporary place after death. A system notification appears again, stating that the conditions for the skill have been met by Kim's death, and that the orc monster's skill will be copied at random. Both of them are surprised to learn that monsters have skills that can be copied. The Sword Emperor looks very upset. He is upset because that god-level skill has fallen into the hands of someone like Kim, who is just an amateur. Kim stands in front of a pile of skill cards spinning in the air. He reaches out to take one card at random, but the Sword Emperor stops him. The Emperor tells Kim that he can see the contents of the card. Meanwhile, Kim can only see the backside without knowing its contents. With great curiosity, Kim asks the Sword Emperor to help him read the skill cards floating in front of him. The first card shows reproductive abilities, while the second card, called Quake, offers the ability to become a celebrity among the orc monsters. The Sword Emperor recommends the first card, but Kim decides to take the second card. The Sword Emperor is annoyed again, but he can't force Kim to choose another card. After choosing the skill card, Kim immediately springs into action. He goes hunting with firm determination, planning to exploit his new skill. The Sword Emperor realizes Kim's intention to take a shortcut by using his new skill, and tries to persuade him to choose a more relaxed training method, because becoming strong is a process. However, Kim ignores the advice, thinking that the Sword Emperor just doesn't want him to succeed quickly. Kim enters the third floor of the tower and drinks the potion that has been prepared. The effects of the potion begin to take hold, strengthening Kim's instincts and aura. Confidently, Kim activates his new skill before the orc monster can attack him. A confused expression appears on the orc's face as it prepares to attack Kim, but it quickly turns into admiration when Kim activates his new skill. Kim takes advantage of the moment, launching an attack with swift and skillful movements, making use of every benefit from the skill he just acquired. A week has passed since Kim gained his new ability. Now he stands tall in front of the orc boss monster on the 5th floor of the tower. With an unshakable aura of confidence, Kim decides to use the Goblin High Society ranking F skill. With a graceful movement, he activates the skill and leaps high, attacking the boss monster from above. The orc boss monster is surprised by Kim's sudden attack. With impressive strength and precision, Kim manages to land a deadly blow to the boss monster's chest, knocking it down hard. The victory brings satisfaction to Kim, although the Sword Emperor raised a few arguments about Kim's success. Suddenly, a system notification appears in front of Kim, and a bright reddish light surrounds his body, radiating an awe-inspiring aura. The system notification sounds again, announcing that Kim's skill slot has increased, and he is now an E-rank hunter. Kim enjoys every second of his level-up moment, feeling pride and satisfaction. The Sword Emperor, who sees Kim's unique aura, a mix of fire and blood, wonders about the form of that aura. Usually, the form of an aura is related to trauma or memories from the past, although it doesn't always mean bad memories. The Sword Emperor explains that the Sword Saint's aura takes the form of a moon. When he was a child, the Sword Saint got lost in the forest and felt threatened. He crawled to the top of the mountain and saw a beautiful moon. Since then, he wanted to shine as brightly as the moon. With that explanation, the Sword Emperor takes Kim to the 6th floor. However, Kim has a bold idea to go straight to the 10th floor and face the Guardian Boss monster. The Sword Emperor refuses. Thinking Kim is overconfident and underestimating the difficulty of the 10th floor, Kim challenges the Sword Emperor with a bold bet. He can clear the 10th floor with only 2 lives, on the condition that the Sword Emperor must give him honest information about the boss monster's skills on that level. If Kim succeeds, the Sword Emperor must call him Mr. Kim. On the other hand, if Kim loses, he will acknowledge the Sword Emperor as his master and address him with more respect. The Sword Emperor, although reluctant, finally agreed to the bet. Both of them confidently headed toward the gate to the 10th floor. Upon arriving at the gate to the 10th floor, Kim was stopped by a guard who looked at him skeptically. The guard doubted Kim's ability to face the challenge alone, considering that even a major guild like Black Dragon, with their 34 best members, had failed to conquer this floor. The guard felt guilty about letting Kim face death. Kim did not give up. Kim made up a story as an excuse to tell the guard. Kim said that he had been abandoned by his loved one a year ago and was recently diagnosed with an incurable disease. The doctor mentioned that he only had half a year left to live. Rather than waiting for death and loneliness, Kim chose to die fighting against monsters. Kim's story touched the guard's heart, who finally let him enter the 10th floor with a sense of empathy. The Sword Emperor could only be amazed by the drama Kim displayed. After entering the 10th floor, Kim found a magnificent house with classic architecture in front of him. With firm determination, Kim walked toward the entrance of the house. In his heart, he knew that the Flame Emperor had once conquered this place, and now it was his turn to write an even greater legend. As Kim opened the door of the grand house, he was greeted by a group of child-sized dolls standing neatly in a row. The dolls looked at Kim with empty eyes and said, "Do you want to play?" Their words were followed by flames that trapped Kim inside the room with the dolls. A system notification appeared again, announcing that Kim had entered the boss area. Kim tried to understand the challenge posed by the boss he was facing. The final system notification read, "May Lady Luck be with you." Amidst the blazing flames, Kim stood before the little dolls, inviting him to play. He was in the final stage of his battle with the 10th floor boss monster, Hellfire Maiden. Kim realized that to conquer the 10th floor, he had to find the real monster doll among thousands of others and destroy it. The fire surrounding him was not ordinary fire, but the fiery aura of hell. Even the strongest aura shield could only last a maximum of 10 minutes against these flames. While Kim struggled to withstand the pressure of the fire with his own aura, the Sword Emperor kept mocking him, adding to Kim's frustration. Kim tried to grab one of the small dolls nearby. The doll melted instantly without giving any useful clues. Kim became even more confused and frustrated. The pressure of the blazing fire grew stronger, and Kim's aura shield began to collapse. In an instant, Kim was engulfed by the flames surrounding him. "You have died." A system notification appeared, confirming his death and the process of randomly copying a skill from the Hellfire Maiden. With Kim's death, the Sword Emperor helped choose a skill card for him. The card chosen was gold and called Fire Hell Barrier with an S rank. This skill allows Kim to create a hellfire aura around him within a 2-kilometer radius. No one can leave the fire zone without the skill owner's permission. However, Kim feels that something is wrong. Kim asks the Sword Emperor to read out all the skill cards owned by the boss monster. Thinking there might be something more interesting, Kim has the Sword Emperor read the skill cards one by one, but nothing catches his attention until the last card. The Sword Emperor looks hesitant and reluctant to read it, making Kim grin mysteriously. Kim realizes something strange about the puppets on the 10th floor. Why didn't they burn as well? He picks up the skill card that hasn't been read yet, and a system notification appears, revealing the skill name, Heart Against Fire, whether awake or asleep, with an A rank, which makes its user resistant to the wrath of fire. The next system notification reveals that the skill copying process is complete. Kim feels excited as he acquires the new skill. However, a system notification surprises him with an announcement about a penalty given for the activation of the previous skill. The penalty process begins by replaying the trauma experienced by the opponent who killed Kim. In a city shrouded in darkness, a little beggar girl in tattered clothes keeps wandering around looking for food from house to house. Every door she knocks on is tightly shut, and every plea she makes is ignored. Her face shows bitterness and despair, as if the world has abandoned her. A friendly middle-aged man finally approaches the girl. The man offers help and takes the girl to his house. However, the house she hoped would be a place of refuge turns into a nightmare. The man locks the little girl in a cage, claiming that she is a disease that must be eliminated. With a cruel expression, he reveals his intention to sacrifice her. It turns out, the man is part of a heretical cult that captures orphans and considers them a disease that must be offered to a god to save the city. The cries and screams of the child broke the silence of the night, filled with sadness and unanswered questions. Kim and the Sword Emperor witnessed the incident without being able to interact. Anger and sadness overwhelmed them as they saw the child suffering. The Sword Emperor explained that the formation of the boss's personality on the 10th floor could be explained by incidents like this. The monster boss was formed from trauma from another world, with experiences unknown to others. A candle carried by a servant fell, and the flame from the candle quickly set the house where the child was locked up on fire, causing a huge fire. The owner of the house and the servants panicked and ran to save themselves. Kim tried to stop them, but his efforts were in vain. The fire quickly spread to the basement, where the child was locked up. The child panicked and screamed for help, filled with fear and hopelessness. They just wanted to play with their friends, not be treated badly or go hungry. The entire house burned down. A system notification appeared, confirming that the trauma repetition process was complete and the penalty had been received. Kim returned to his room with mixed feelings, filled with sadness and anger after witnessing that suffering. The Sword Emperor reminded Kim of his main goal, to conquer the tower and face the next challenge. With renewed determination, Kim hurried to the 10th floor of the tower and returned to the Grand Mansion to face the floor boss. The Sword Emperor suggested that Kim kill the monster boss. However, Kim refused. Anger and frustration burned in his heart. Kim felt upset because he didn't realize earlier that the monster boss's golden skill card stated that no one could leave the range of its aura without permission. Kim wondered why the Black Dragon Guild and its members could return safely without killing the boss monster. Kim realized that the boss monster had given them permission to leave the zone. With full confidence, Kim opened the door to the boss monster's house and stepped inside. Surrounded by blazing flames that trapped him, he approached a group of small dolls that greeted him and cheerfully invited him to play. Kim, with unwavering spirit, activated his skill that made him resistant to fire and calmly walked through the blazing flames. The small dolls looked confused by Kim's lack of fear. Kim joined the game of hide-and-seek with the dolls, searching for them in every corner of the house. Every time Kim touched the wrong doll, the doll melted. Kim's spirit did not waver, as if the doll was a child happily playing with him. Finally, Kim arrived in the basement and found a doll sitting quietly in a cage, looking at Kim with hope. Kim knelt in front of the doll, reached out his hand, and the doll melted before Kim, leaving its final trace. The system notification announced that the hidden challenge had been completed, and Kim had completed the boss monster stage. Kim let out a sigh of relief, feeling a mix of sadness and satisfaction. With unwavering determination, he was ready to face the next challenge in the tower. The sky suddenly exploded with colorful fireworks, as if the world was celebrating a great victory. Fireworks shattered the darkness of the night, and the countdown appeared in the sky, showing the time remaining before the 11th floor opened. Everyone was curious about the identity of the mysterious figure who managed to conquer the 10th floor. Rumors spread quickly on social media, but the identity of the conqueror of the 10th floor has yet to be confirmed. Thank you. A gatekeeper came rushing in, suspecting that Kim was the hunter who managed to conquer the 10th floor alone, because Kim was the only one who entered that floor that day. The higher-ups kept asking him about it. Kim avoided the questions calmly and walked away. The Sword Emperor appreciated Kim's actions in hiding his identity. Kim realized that the Sword Emperor was acting kindly because he was trying to avoid the bet they had agreed on. Back in Babylon on the first floor, Kim felt satisfied and happy. In a cafe, Kim sat back and enjoyed his drink, joking with the Sword Emperor about winning the bet. He truly enjoyed this moment. An hour and a half after the announcement of the conquest of the 10th floor, Kim felt that something big was about to happen. A cat came up to him and Kim then played with it. 5 hunters then approached Kim and asked if he was Kim Gong-jae. Kim showed his hunter card to confirm his identity. As soon as they heard his answer, the 5 hunters busily coordinated through their communication devices. One of them, a man with a formal demeanor, introduced himself as the head recruiter from the Vigilante Guild. However, before his clear intention to recruit Kim could be conveyed, Kim interrupted him. Kim emphasized 2 things. First, do not leak his name to the media until the 11th floor is opened. And second, this is a public place, so they should be mindful of other customers and not cause a commotion. The 5 hunters apologized and immediately rented out the entire cafe so there would be no disturbances. They gathered in front of Kim, offering money and enticing benefits as if they were participating in an auction. Kim thought that they seemed to have forgotten about the existence of Sword Saint, the strongest hunter who had not joined any guild yet. They seemed to be looking for someone who could surpass Sword Saint's reputation. Kim felt they didn't need to hide their true intentions. The calm atmosphere was suddenly interrupted by the sound of the cat on Kim's lap. The cat spoke and mentioned the amount of 500,000 gold coins, a sum far above the offer made by the 5 hunters to Kim. The cat then got down from Kim's lap and transformed into a noblewoman, the leader of one of the major guilds, the Trade Union Guild. In addition to money, the noblewoman offered Kim the position of deputy head of the Trade Union Guild. Kim smiled, listening to the offer with careful consideration. One of the representatives protested the noblewoman's offer, considering it too generous. The noblewoman casually asked them to call their leader to negotiate. Not long after, a man's loud shout echoed through the cafe. Viper, one of the leaders of a major guild, entered the cafe with an annoyed expression. Behind him, the other guild leaders followed, including Heretic Interrogator from the 10,000 Quill Guild Crusader from the Vigilante Guild, and Black Dragon, the mysterious black mage who was the leader of the strongest guild in Babylon. The noblewoman greeted them with graceful manners. Meanwhile, Kim felt surprised to be surrounded by top-class hunters, whom he had only dreamed of meeting before. The guild leaders sat around Kim, putting heavy pressure on him. However, Kim remained calm. The black mage, with a sharp gaze, pressed Kim to decide whether he wanted to join one of the guilds or follow in the footsteps of Sword Saint, who chose not to join any guild. If Kim chooses to join, the auction will begin immediately. If not, planning to deal with the already excited media needs to be done. The Black Mage emphasized the importance of this opportunity to introduce the tower to the outside world and revive the sense of adventure. The Black Mage's words made Kim even more focused and realize how important this opportunity was. Unexpectedly, Kim suggested a game of poker as a way to decide which guild would recruit him. But if Kim won, he would register with all the guilds at the same time and get a position equal to the guildmasters. The guild leaders accepted Kim's offer. This moment became an opportunity for them to prove their negotiation skills. Kim then turned to the Sword Emperor with a new offer. If the Sword Emperor helped him win the poker game by looking at the opponent's cards, the Sword Emperor would no longer have to call Kim by the title Master. The Sword Emperor enthusiastically accepted the offer. He was ready to help Kim win the poker game and look at the opponent's cards. The poker game began. The Sword Emperor focused his attention on the opponent's cards using his keen senses, providing Kim with information about each player's cards. The game was intense. The leader of the 10,000 Quill Guild Heretic Interrogator was eliminated first, followed by Viper. And finally, the noblewoman, although she appeared calm, had to admit her defeat. Only Crusader and Black Mage remained to face Kim. The atmosphere grew even more tense when Crusader finally surrendered, leaving Kim and Black Mage as the last 2 players.
The noblewoman helped prepare the cards for the final round. Black Mage, in a calm voice, reminded that when the clock strikes midnight, everyone will know about Kim, and his life will change completely, emphasizing the importance of Kim's decision. Kim, who listened carefully, with the Sword Emperor feeding him information about Black Mage's hand, decided to risk everything. With full confidence, Kim stated that conquering the 10th floor is just the first step, and he is determined to reach the top of the tower. Kim respects his opponent's dedication to the tower and considers them rivals, expressing his desire to experience the world above the tower and climb even higher. Black Mage listened attentively. Kim eventually emerged as the winner of the poker game. Before leaving, Kim left important information that the theme from floor 11 to floor 20 is role-playing games, a clue he obtained after completing floor 10. With confidence and determination, Kim left the cafe, ready to enter the 11th floor. In the midst of the bustling city, Kim walked confidently through the dense crowd. All attention was focused on the countdown clock in the sky. As the countdown clock neared its end, only 11 seconds remained. The crowd cheered, holding their breath. When the final second passed and the number 0 was reached, cheers erupted throughout the city. The sky suddenly shone with a bright light, forming the figure of a graceful woman, as if she were a goddess descending from the heavens. The woman in the light appeared, her voice seeming to come from inside the tower. She announced the end of the tutorial and congratulated the tower-climbing warriors on completing the Hellfire Residence's revenge. Sword Emperor explained to Kim that the woman's hologram was a system announcing the next mission, like an advanced video recording. The system informed them that there was another world in need of help, as its inhabitants were suffering due to the invasion of the Demon King. The hunters would be summoned as warriors to protect humanity. To go there, the hunters just needed to say the code, transmit. Suddenly, a figure jumped down from the top of a building and attacked the floating hologram woman. He was the Sword Saint. His attack went through the hologram, revealing that the figure was just a digital illusion. The Sword Saint immediately said the code transmit and teleported, followed by the leader of the 10,000 Quill Guild and the other hunters. Kim kept watching the system hologram as it continued its explanation. The system stated that from floors 11 to 20, they would face a test of faith, and the answers found would reveal who they truly are. Crusader approached Kim, commenting that the hunters should have listened to the system's explanation until it was finished before teleporting. Meanwhile, a group of reporters ran toward Kim, triggering panic within him. Crusader realized the situation and quickly said goodbye before teleporting to the 11th floor. Kim, feeling pressured by the presence of the reporters, tried to stay calm amid the barrage of questions. With determination, he declared that he would conquer the 20th floor. He waved to the reporters and hurried to the 11th floor. The final system notification appeared, wishing him good luck. Accept. On the 11th floor, the battlefield was filled with chaos. With arrows flying from all directions, the hunters tried to find a safe place. In the midst of the chaos, a veteran knight in heavy armor ran toward Kim. Breathing heavily, his sword was raised high in front of his face. He urged Kim to help save the kingdom and secure the port, which was the capital's last lifeline. Meanwhile, a system notification appeared in front of Kim. The system notification stated that securing the supply route was necessary because a disaster had struck the kingdom of Agem. The Demon King, a legendary monster who is cunning and powerful, sent his army to cut off the supply route. This task is needed to reach the 12th floor. Sword Saint said that they only have to defeat the Demon King's army. He then moved forward to attack, followed by the other hunters who were confident in their abilities to fight orcs and goblins. Kim remained calm, observing the chaotic battlefield. The next system notification stated that as a reward for clearing the 10th floor, Kim now had access to information on all abilities and locations of NPCs from the 11th to the 20th floor, as well as one bonus item from those floors. Kim enjoyed the system rewards, while the Sword Emperor felt annoyed and couldn't accept the fact that Kim was getting an advantage. The Sword Emperor expressed his annoyance toward Kim, considering it cheating. Kim responded calmly, asking the system to display the NPCs and the Emperor with the best army leadership skills and their locations on the map.
He also requested his own location. The Sword Emperor looked annoyed because Kim was about to cheat again. Kim then approached a knight who was fighting against a monster. The knight, Commander Sarbas A. Kim, looked at Kim suspiciously as Kim greeted him. Kim, with full confidence, asked the knight to kill him. Kim explained that his death would grant a divine blessing that would ensure the Empire's victory. Commander Sarbas A. Kim was surprised and hesitant. Despite being confused and upset, he finally agreed to kill Kim. Reluctantly, the knight prepared his attack. Kim expressed his gratitude before finally being attacked by the knight. A system notification appeared, confirming Kim's death and the successful duplication of Commander Sarbas A. Kim's skill. After his death at the hands of Commander Sarbas, Kim acquired a support skill. The skill is called Battlefield Insight. This B-rank skill provides deep insight on the battlefield. It allows Kim to instinctively sense the enemy's weaknesses, regardless of the ally's condition. Kim returned to the 11th floor fully prepared. Commander Sarbas spurred his horse toward the battlefield. They were followed by the Imperial Knights Cavalry, with the A. Kim Imperial flag waving among them. Above them, Kim's digital map displayed the enemy troops' positions. With his new skill, Kim acted like a military expert. The shining sword in his hand was the long-lost Imperial heirloom sword of A. Kim. The sword was a gift from the goddess and became a symbol of strength and trust from the people of the I. Kim Empire. The knights cheered, feeling that the goddess had not abandoned them. On the battlefield, Kim led the charge with great enthusiasm, boosting the troops' morale. The Sword Emperor questioned Kim's decision to choose that sword instead of other more valuable items. But Kim remained satisfied with his choice. This sword is not only a powerful item, but also a symbol that impresses all the NPCs from the upper floors down to the 20th floor. Kim led the attack with confidence, using the mini-map and his new military skill to defeat the enemies. The cavalry knights attacked swiftly, breaking the enemy's formation. The Goblin General, panicking, saw Kim approaching. Kim leaped up and struck the Goblin General with a quick sword attack. The Goblin General fell to the ground, followed by cheers of encouragement from the knights surrounding Kim. The A. Kim Empire celebrated their victory. The demon army fled, while the hunters chased the remaining enemies. The system notification announced the completion of floor 11. The hunters rejoiced, celebrating the success of clearing the floor in a single day. They were surprised to see Kim in first place, and that he had not yet received a title from the system. The hunters recognized Kim as the conqueror of the 10th floor and wondered about his abilities. The Sword Emperor felt that Kim relied too much on the system's rewards, but Kim remained calm and promised to train harder in the future. The Sword Emperor was pleased with Kim's promise. They continued their journey with renewed enthusiasm, preparing themselves for the next challenge. Commander Sarbas thanked Kim for the victory, feeling relieved and promising to support him. Their handshake, even though they came from different worlds, signified great hope and expectations for the future. As soon as Kim entered teleportation mode, his body was surrounded by light as a sign that the tower system was transferring him. Commander Sarbas entrusted the fate of the Empire to Kim, watching him teleport. The Guild Masters and Sword Saint also joined in the teleportation. Kim landed calmly in the hall, formulating a plan in his mind. In the same location, the Black Mage and Viper had just arrived through teleportation. Heretic Inquisitor, who looked younger than usual, immediately greeted Kim cheerfully, calling him amazing and asking about the sword Kim used. Kim replied in a confused tone, indicating that he didn't really feel extraordinary. Suddenly, the Sword Saint arrived and attacked Kim. The attack was blocked by the Heretic Inquisitor, who stopped it with aura in his hand. Kim was shocked and held his chest. Behind him, the Heretic Inquisitor faced off against the Sword Saint. The Heretic Inquisitor expressed his astonishment at the Sword Saint's actions, who was now pointing his sword at Kim with the intent to kill. The Heretic Inquisitor asked the reason for the Sword Saint's ill intent, to which he replied that he didn't need to explain. After that, the Heretic Inquisitor used a holy teleportation skill. Then, Viper and Crusader appeared and attacked the Sword Saint from behind. However, their combined strength was not enough to stop the Sword Saint. The Heretic Inquisitor then asked the noblewoman to contribute 100,000 of her own gold.
Although she grumbled a little, the noblewoman still donated her gold. Gold coins fell from a pouch that floated above Kim and the Heretic Inquisitor. The Heretic Inquisitor used his skill to turn the gold coins into aura to strengthen the Viper and the Crusader. Kim was confused to see the gold coins that had been scattered now shrinking. The Heretic Inquisitor claimed that in 300 seconds, the Viper and the Crusader would become much stronger. Even the Sword Saint would have a hard time fighting the three of them now. The Black Mage then approached all of them with a powerful aura, explaining that Kim had joined the 5 major guilds and held the status of Guildmaster. The Black Mage warned the Sword Saint that attacking Kim meant attacking all of them. The Sword Saint was surrounded by the 5 major guild leaders. Inwardly, Kim thought that the Sword Saint might still consider him an assassin sent by the Black Dragon. The Sword Emperor gave his opinion that to the Sword Saint, Kim looked like a subordinate trained by the major guilds as an assassin and not a rookie hunter. The Sword Saint, with complete composure, faced the 5 leaders of the major guilds who surrounded him. He stated that the situation inside the tower was the same as outside. Since entering the tower, he had been constantly asked to join their guilds. However, he always refused. The Sword Saint believed that in this world, anyone could grow just by relying on their sword and hard work, without being bound by bloodlines or disgusting social connections. He firmly stated that his goal was to prove that climbing the tower alone was possible, even though the circumstances around him were considered stagnant and rotten. The Black Mage looked angry and annoyed. He criticized the Sword Saint for being delusional and not helping other hunters. Viper also expressed his anger, accusing the Sword Saint of being absent during the conquest of the 5th, 7th, and 9th floors. The noblewoman argued that help from the Sword Saint's outside world could solve the food problem and ensure safety and stability inside the tower. The Black Mage shouted, demanding that the Sword Saint take responsibility as the #1 ranked player. The Sword Saint responded in a firm tone. He challenged them to fight with swords if they truly wanted to oppose him. The Sword Emperor made a decision and praised the Sword Saint's spirit as the grandfather he knew. Kim just stayed silent and didn't respond. Kim tried to talk to the guild leaders and the Sword Saint. He tried to remind them that as knights and heroes, they should help with what others can't do and focus on the remaining stages. Crusader raised his sword and stepped forward, stating that even though he didn't know the reason for the Sword Saint's attack on Kim, now was not the time to fight. He was willing to use the lie detector skill, which could detect lies from players, NPCs, and monsters. This skill explains that the results could be wrong if the target doesn't believe something is true, and the final decision depends on individual judgment. If Sword Saint and Kim are willing, Crusader will guarantee the truth of their statements. Sword Saint looks deep in thought, while Kim decides to raise his hand as a sign of willingness. Sword Saint agrees to the use of the lie detection skill by Crusader with respect, and Crusader confirms all statements if Sword Saint asks Kim questions. Sword Saint, with a sharp gaze, asks if Kim has killed 4,000 people. Kim calmly answers that it's true, and Sword Saint responds with anger. Crusader states that Kim's answer is a lie, implying that Kim did not kill 4,000 people. Sword Saint is angry, accusing Kim of being a murderer raised by the 5 great guilds. Kim firmly states that he specializes in murder. Crusader considers Kim's statement a lie. Sword Saint is confused, feeling that he was wrong to trust Crusader's judgment. Crusader explains that Sword Saint's question doesn't make sense because it's difficult for one person to kill many people. Crusader emphasizes that Kim's statement about only killing one person is the truth. Kim explains that the person he killed was a psychopathic murderer, and Crusader confirms the truth of that statement. Sword Saint is shocked and in disbelief, while Heretic Inquisitor laughs at the amusing deduction. The Sword Emperor feels embarrassed. He thinks the Sword Saint shouldn't always rely on his appraisal skill. Kim approaches the Sword Saint confidently, stating that all questions have been answered and assuming there was a misunderstanding between them. Kim emphasizes that if the guildmasters hadn't protected him, he would probably be dead. Kim continues by asking for an apology from the Sword Saint. Kim stands in the middle of the room with the guild leaders, waiting for a response from the Sword Saint, who looks nervous. After a moment, the Sword Saint slowly grips his sword, staring at Kim.
He kneels, bows his head in regret, and sincerely apologizes. He admits his mistake for almost killing without a solid reason, a habit formed from his own judgment of who deserves to live or die. However, he promises to change. Kim looks at him thoughtfully. He asks the Sword Saint to teach him swordsmanship, a simple yet meaningful request. This surprises the guild leaders, especially Viper and Heretic Inquisitor, who did not expect Kim to be so generous. Meanwhile, the Sword Saint responds enthusiastically, promising to be a loyal mentor and sparring partner. He even starts talking about his grandson. He tries to arrange a marriage between Kim and his granddaughter. Kim just feels awkward and politely declines the offer, but the Sword Saint keeps insisting, even talking about the importance of love and wisdom in life. In the midst of all that, suddenly a notification from the system appears. Because Kim is ranked first in clearing the 11th floor, he gets to be the first to choose one of the two reward options. On one side, there's an offer from the Goddess of Protection. She offers him an important position in the kingdom and the power that comes with it. On the other side, the Demon King offers a darker reward, the chance to directly enter the 99th floor, on the condition that he must kill all the other heroes. Kim pondered in silence, realizing that no one around him could see these choices. He was at a crossroads, having to decide which path to take. Kim connected with the Sword Emperor through telepathy. The Sword Emperor warned that this decision was likely a trap. However, Kim calmly realized that it was indeed a trap. Kim thought about the past, when the Flame Emperor only managed to reach the 40th floor before returning to the past. For him, the Demon King's reward was undoubtedly an enticing trap. The Sword Emperor warned Kim that the 99th floor didn't have a boss monster, but something far more vicious. An unimaginable trap. Kim remained calm in thought and made his decision. After that, Kim faced the guild leaders and the Sword Saint, who looked confused to see Kim staying silent. He announced that he had decided not to choose any reward. This decision shocked the guild leaders, who responded with confusion. A system notification appeared, stating that Kim did not choose a reward. The Guardian Goddess questioned his decision. Meanwhile, the Demon King of Autumn Rain burst into loud laughter. Sword Saint, being ranked second, got his turn to choose a reward and took the role of head knight of the Agam Kingdom. Suddenly, knights in iron cloaks appeared and swore loyalty to him. Heretic Inquisitor then chose the role of Grand General of the kingdom, and his troops immediately appeared, swearing loyalty. Viper chose to be the head of the royal guards, while Crusader chose the position of foreign minister. The Black Mage and the Noblewoman each took the roles of Prime Minister and Finance Minister, with all the guild leaders having determined their roles. A system notification sounded, stating that 8 people had chosen the goddess's gift, while 1 person had chosen the Demon King's gift. This indicated that someone among them had sided with the Demon King and must kill the other contributors. The Black Mage was angry, feeling that this betrayal was foolish. Heretic Inquisitor, with a terrifying smile, admitted how surprising it was that someone chose the Demon King's reward, even though their chances of winning were slim. There was a push for Crusader to use his lie detection skill to find the traitor among them. The Black Mage firmly stated that he would find and punish the traitor among them. Then, Crusader used his lie detector ability to interrogate all the guild leaders. One by one, they answered calmly. They denied choosing the Demon King's reward. When everyone was declared honest, Sword Saint suspected Crusader of being the traitor, even though everyone had already been tested for honesty. Heretic Inquisitor interrupted with a sneer about trust, reminding everyone that it takes years to build cooperation between guilds. Then, without warning, Heretic Inquisitor and Viper brutally killed 3 low-ranked hunters, hoping to find the traitor among them. However, the remaining notifications from the system stated that those hunters were not servants of the Demon King. Seeing this brutal act, the Sword Saint was furious. He drew his sword and attacked, injuring Heretic Inquisitor, who was forced to retreat. Viper tried to block the Sword Saint's attack, pleading for help, but the situation became even more chaotic. In desperation, Crusader approached Kim and begged him to stop the Sword Saint, because Kim was the only one proven innocent. In the midst of a high-tension battle, the Sword Saint fought against the Guildmasters. In the midst of this situation, Heretic Inquisitor used a potion to heal the wound on his hand, while stating that authority should be given to someone who is definitely not a traitor. Meanwhile, Kim, who had just been given full authority, felt burdened by the great responsibility in the midst of this critical situation. Kim approached the battlefield, trying to stop the Sword Saint, who kept attacking the guild leaders. After mentioning Sword Saint's grandson, Sword Saint finally stopped his attack. However, the Sword Saint stated that he only stopped because he was sure he could kill them at any time. In the midst of the tension, Kim calmed everyone down, saying that the focus should be shifted away from looking for the traitor. He showed information that the Demon King's core was on the 20th floor, and suggested that they unite and defeat the Demon King first, believing that once the Demon King was defeated, all problems would be resolved. The notification system informed them that the quest on the 12th floor had begun. Kim and the Sword Saint listened to the announcement seriously. When they arrived, heavy red rain fell around the palace, triggering panic and deep fear among the palace residents. The Imperial soldiers knelt down, terrified and in despair, calling the rain a sign from the Demon King. In the midst of the chaos, Viper observed the situation in confusion. Meanwhile, Kim realized that the quest had begun. A powerful tremor shattered the palace windows, revealing a giant figure standing far outside, so massive that it was clearly visible from the palace. That figure was the Demon King of Autumn Rain. The Demon King threatened in a loud voice, mocking the humans who thought they could defeat him with help from another world. He called their efforts futile and declared that they would be consumed by their own evil. Blood-red rain flooded the sky, while the Demon King's army of monsters surrounded the imperial capital. The system issued a new notification, instructing them to defend the capital at SSS difficulty level. The Demon King's army, although weakened by the long journey, still posed a major threat to the imperial city, Hakomonia. If the defense fails, Floor 13-3 will not open. Viper feels anxious seeing the worsening situation. Kim, on the other hand, remains calm and reminds the guild leaders that they are not ordinary hunters. He emphasizes that they must lead the soldiers, because this battle cannot be resolved by their own strength alone. Kim then has each guild leader carry out their roles according to their chosen positions. Crusader is tasked with finding the missing emperor, while Heretic Inquisitor defends the castle wall and leads the soldiers on the front line. Although Heretic Inquisitor seems strange, he agrees to carry out his duties seriously. Each guild leader performs their roles according to Kim's instructions. Deep down, Kim realizes that this is the beginning of a great battle, and he prepares to move forward first, leading the troops to victory. Outside the palace, the newly arrived hunters are confused to see the red sky and the torrential red acid rain. Kim, who is outside the palace and heading to the front line, meets the Black Sorcerer. They continue their journey together toward the front line, with Kim asking how the Black Sorcerer could be there. The Black Sorcerer explains that he used a teleportation skill to arrive at that location. Kim feels confused by the information given by the Black Sorcerer about the limitations of the teleportation skill, but eventually agrees to use it. The Black Sorcerer activates the teleportation skill, and in an instant, they arrive at the front line. Upon arrival, they are floating in the air, observing the soldiers who are not giving up and have not lost their spirit. Kim feels that the fear of the NPCs is similar to the fear of real humans. Kim and the Black Sorcerer land on top of the castle wall. The Black Sorcerer reveals that he must play his role as Prime Minister and then steps to the edge of the wall. The Black Sorcerer shouts to the soldiers below, raising their spirits with words full of confidence. He orders the soldiers to stand and fight. Even though their walls and houses may fall, they are the real wall. The soldiers stand and fight bravely, With spirit, the black sorcerer raises Kim's hand, which holds the heirloom sword. He tries to inspire the troops and lift their spirits from despair. The hilt of the sword held by Kim shines brightly. The bright light from the sword illuminates the entire castle area. When Commander Sarbas swings his sword to kill Kim, the penalty from Kim's skill brings him victory, seeing the trauma of Commander Sarbas. At that moment, red rain fell on the battlefield. Red rain followed by blood. Every time a country fell, human territory kept shrinking. The Demon King, with a sword on his shoulder, stood in the pouring red rain. The scribes who recorded the fate of mankind, accepting the fate that mankind will go extinct. The narration that ends Commander Sarbas's traumatic flashback, witnessed by Kim as part of the system's penalty. Back at the Imperial Fortress, Kim stands atop the castle tower, holding a sword that shines brightly. The light from his sword envelops the entire castle area, protecting it from the heavy red rain. The soldiers see the protective light and shout with hope, believing that the rain has stopped. However, in reality, the rain only stopped in the area under the sword's light. Kim realizes that even though this power is not extraordinary, sometimes small things can make a difference, especially for people who have almost lost all hope. The soldiers look touched and cry, feeling that the gods have not abandoned them. The Dark Wizard motivates them with a fiery speech. He rekindles the spirit of the previously hopeless soldiers. On top of the fortress wall, Kim watches the Dark Wizard in amazement, while the Dark Wizard ignores him. He reveals that his speech was learned from experience. Kim plans a strategy to face the Demon King, deciding to confront him directly. He asks the Dark Wizard to teleport him in front of the Demon King if necessary. Confident that he has a secret trump card, the Dark Wizard doubts Kim's intentions. But Kim remains confident and believes that his sword will be strong enough. Suddenly, the Demon King's voice echoes. He mocks the castle's defenses and declares how pathetic the situation is. The Demon King raises his sword. He unleashes an aura attack that destroys the castle walls and damages the Imperial Palace. A system notification appears, showing that several warriors have died and the Demon King's attack has caused severe damage. Kim notices the changing formation of the demon army, indicating that they might be trying to break through. The Black Mage is worried after seeing the damage, and he predicts that the Demon King will continue attacking. He asks Kim to help protect the collapsed castle gate. Arriving in front of the destroyed wall, Kim feels pressured, but then he hears the Sword Emperor's telepathic voice, asking Kim to hold them off as long as possible, as a symbol of hope for everyone. Kim consumes a potion that increases his body's sensitivity to control his aura. The demon army gets closer, and the Sword Emperor gives tactical directions. He emphasizes the importance of timing in battle. Kim prepares himself with full focus, following the Sword Emperor's instructions to use his sword optimally with determination. Kim gets ready to face the wave of demon army soldiers coming to attack him. Kim uses his sword to slash at the goblins approaching him. Every attack is guided by deep skill and focus, creating a harmonious orchestration of precision and speed. With each swing, his enemies fall, and he keeps fighting relentlessly. The Sword Emperor gives instructions to Kim, reminding him that swordsmanship is about timing and skill. Only those who are skilled can control it for more than a second. Every attack must flow into the next. Don't waste time. Kim listens and applies the instructions. He keeps slashing goblins with increasing efficiency. In the midst of battle, Kim doubts the tower's decision to grant such a powerful skill to the Fire Emperor. He wonders why such a skill was given to someone considered unworthy. Kim is determined to clear every floor of the tower, from floor 20 to 100, and prove his abilities. A system notification appears, announcing that Kim has leveled up to D rank. Meanwhile, the Sword Emperor congratulates him. Kim has become stronger. He keeps fighting against waves of the Demon King's army. Sword Saint arrives and helps him with deadly sword attacks. Sword Saint praises Kim's hard work. They fight together. Then, Heretic Inquisitor and the Imperial troops join the battle, respectfully. Heretic Inquisitor expresses gratitude to Kim and orders the troops to fight. At the same time, Viper arrives. He apologizes for being late. However, Kim seems unable to hear Viper's voice. Kim appears to be completely absorbed in the fight. Viper feels happy to see Kim immersed in the battle and continues to fight by his side. Crusader arrives late. He apologizes and explains the situation. Sword Saint responds calmly. He suggests that Paladin join the fight on the front lines. Kim keeps fighting. The Demon King is about to launch a deadly aura attack. At that moment, the Black Mage appeared and blocked the Demon King's attack. The Black Mage summoned all the guild leaders, including Gongja, to gather. Kim stared at the Demon King with determination, thinking about everything that had happened and the deaths they had gone through. The Sword Emperor gave the final push, and Kim was determined to conquer that monster. The Black Mage teleported, bringing them in front of the Demon King. The Demon King, with a terrifying smile, revealing contempt and challenging them. Kim, he responds passionately, releasing his hand from the shocked Black Wizard. Kim declares his intention to die for a greater cause. With that decision, Kim attacks and dies at the hands of the Demon King. A system notification appears, announcing Kim's death and that the requirements for a new skill have been met. The system informs that the skill, the Demon King of Autumn Rain, is being copied randomly. Kim, to himself, ready for the second round. In Kim's transitional dimension, he managed to randomly copy a skill from the Demon King. The Sword Emperor informs that he has seen all of the Demon King's skills and offers to read them out to Kim. The Sword Emperor starts with the first skill, Hate Flows Like Rain, which has an S ranking. This skill makes the user invisible and unable to see, with the effect of red rain as a symbol of spilled blood. Then, the Sword Emperor reads out the skill, The Heart's Cry Echoes. With an A ranking, this skill strengthens the user's aura based on emotions, such as revenge or hatred, but it causes addiction to those emotions. The next skill is Summoning 100 Ghosts with an SS ranking. This skill allows the user to summon creatures that have been killed as monsters, such as goblins or zombies, but it can only be done once a week. Kim decided to choose one of the three skills, convinced that it would be beneficial for his future development. The Sword Emperor did not oppose Kim's decision, believing that Kim had his own reasons for choosing that skill. Kim asked the Sword Emperor about the daily schedule of the Sword Saint. The Sword Emperor confirmed that the Sword Saint had a strict schedule from morning until night. Kim asked the Sword Emperor to explain the schedule in detail after choosing the skill card. Kim received a medium-level trauma penalty from the Demon King of Fall Rain. This trauma will be discussed at a later opportunity. Kim returned to the time 24 hours before his death and gathered with the guild leaders at a cafe in Babylon. After winning the poker game, Kim got ready to leave. The Black Mage asked about his destination, and Kim explained that he was going to the 11th floor and needed to prepare himself. The Black Mage asked how Kim could prepare himself without knowing the conditions on the 11th floor. Kim was stunned for a moment, remembering the time spent with the guild leaders from his previous life. After being reprimanded, Kim stated that he felt touched to be among the guild leaders and sensed a strong intensity. Kim explained that the information about the 11th floor was a reward for clearing the 10th floor on the condition that the guild leaders would help him in the future. The guild leaders agreed to the condition, and Kim explained that floors 11 to 20 are part of the Aegeum Empire and will involve large-scale battles. After delivering the information, Kim asked Crusader to speak with him privately. As they left the cafe, Sword Emperor informed Kim through telepathy that the Sword Saint was following them using a hiding skill, so Kim wouldn't notice. Kim felt worried about the bad relationship between Sword Saint and the guild masters, as well as the possibility of betrayal. If the Sword Saint targets Kim, the guild masters will fight against him. It could potentially bring destruction. As they walked, Crusader asked where they were heading. Considering the dark surroundings, Kim explained that he wanted to recommend a shop. To himself, Kim lured the Sword Saint along a route where he would be seen. Kim told Crusader about a shop run by a nameless apothecary. With his extraordinary skill abilities, Crusader trusted Kim's information. He used his lie detection skill. They arrived at the pharmacy owned by the alchemist girl known as Healer, who had previously made a potion for Kim. Healer greeted Kim warmly. Kim introduced Crusader as the vice leader of the Master Civil Militia Guild, surprising Healer, who didn't expect the arrival of such an important person. Kim explained that they had come to arrange a contract for her to supply potions to the Civil Militia Guild. Healer was very grateful for the opportunity. Suddenly, Sword Saint arrived at the pharmacy. He asked everyone except Kim to leave. Crusader confronted Sword Saint, asking about his presence there. Sword Saint asserted that he had business with Kim. Crusader explained that attacking Kim would mean declaring war against the 5 guilds Kim is affiliated with. Even though Crusader knew he wouldn't win, he still prepared to fight with all his strength. Kim realized that Sword Saint had a weakness for innocent people. He brought Crusader along as protection. Considering Crusader an easy target because of Sword Saint's moral ethics, Healer also protected Kim and fended off Sword Saint's attack, emphasizing that customers must be protected even from Sword Saint. Sword Saint fell silent, and Kim thought that even though they weren't strong enough, these good people could stop Sword Saint. Sword Saint finally sheathed his sword and left, saying that day was not the day to act. Kim called out to Sword Saint. He challenged him to meet at the northern field of the city the next day. Crusader confirmed that Sword Saint was indeed famous among guildmasters. Sword Saint lost his daughter and son-in-law to the same killer and was seeking revenge. However, the details remain a secret. Sword Emperor confirmed this story, saying that only his granddaughter remains. Crusader added that every guildmaster has their own story, and Kim might face something unpleasant. Crusader then asked about the potion from the pharmacy, hoping the price wouldn't be too expensive. The next day, Kim waited for Sword Saint at the promised place. Sword Saint stood alert. Kim tried to explain that he had the prophecy skill and knew about Sword Saint's detective insight skill. Sword Saint was surprised to learn that Kim knew about his skill. Kim asked for Sword Saint's trust, showing that he could uncover secrets and that it would be better not to kill him now. However, Sword Saint was doubtful and tested Kim by asking how many fingers he was hiding behind his back. Doubting Kim's words, Sword Saint charged and attacked Kim. However, Kim quickly killed himself before Sword Saint could attack him. Kim went back 24 hours, trying once again to convince Sword Saint that his skill was real. He repeated the attempt several times, failing to convince Sword Saint, but kept trying. Kim tried to persuade Sword Saint not to kill him for 5 days. During that time, Sword Saint could judge his personality for himself. Kim also mentioned the name Sword Emperor as Sword Saint's guardian spirit as proof of his ability. Sword Saint was surprised. Then he agreed to observe Kim for 5 days and assess his abilities. Kim felt relieved and thanked him, ensuring he met the requirements to prevent innocent sacrifices on the 12th floor. Kim went to the 11th floor with a happy and relieved expression, saying goodbye to Sword Saint. Kim returned to the 11th floor where a great battle between the Imperial Army and the Demon King's forces was taking place. Commander Sarbus asked the hunters for help to save the Empire. Meanwhile, the atmosphere of the battle felt familiar to Kim. The Black Mage, who led the Black Dragon, instructed all his members to gather and take control of the battle. He assigned tasks firmly. Viper and the Guild Civil Militia took care of the left side, Guile Guild's 10,000 temples, and the Trade Guild handled the right side, while the Black Dragon would break through from the center. The hunters from the major guilds plunged into the battlefield with high coordination and determination, motivating Commander Sarbus to command them. Then, the battle. Kim only observed their movements, while the Sword Emperor stood beside him, reminding him to stand out more. Kim responded calmly, stating that he felt fine even though he wasn't standing out much. Kim asked about Sword Saint's purpose for always watching him. Sword Saint explained that he was watching Kim because Kim had mentioned that he could decide whether to kill him or not after 5 days. Kim then approached the Black Mage, who was leading the Black Dragon Guild on the battlefield. The Black Mage asked Kim to quickly state his purpose if he wanted to talk, because he was busy leading the battle. Kim showed the mini-map he obtained from clearing the 10th floor, explaining that the mini-map would help in seeing allies, enemies, and the battlefield. The Black Mage was surprised and asked Kim to immediately show the location of the boss monster. Kim led the Black Mage toward the boss monster, which was surrounded by monsters. The Black Mage used his teleportation skill to get closer to the boss monster, throwing Kim to fight the demon general from the air. Kim, who had grown stronger, used his sword efficiently to slash the demon general, causing the goblin troops to flee. The other hunters enthusiastically chased after the fleeing demon troops. The Black Mage appreciated Kim's work and estimated that they could finish this stage in less than an hour with minimal casualties. Kim, in his heart, he reflected on how the Black Mage was someone who cared about people's safety. Kim shook the Black Mage's hand, feeling inspired to protect them and to earn recognition from those who had fought hard. He realized his desire to be acknowledged and respected by them, as well as his wish to protect them and not let them down. Kim became the main contributor in the conquest of the 11th floor. Kim noticed that the order of contributors had changed compared to before. When entering the Imperial Palace with the other guildmasters, Kim reminded the guildmasters of their promise to help him. Kim then asked the guildmasters to stay there for 5 days without doing anything. Kim assured them that he would reach the 20th floor and conquer it within 5 days. The Black Mage was the first to respond to Kim's statement, expressing surprise at the 5-day request and questioning Kim's seriousness. The Black Mage felt that the request was unrealistic, considering the time it took to reach the 10th floor and his speed in clearing the 11th floor. Kim explained that the goal of clearing the 10th floor was for himself, but he still shared the results with everyone. He asked them to wait for 5 days as his final request. A system notification appeared, offering rewards from the 11th floor with options from the Goddess of Protection and the Demon King. Kim considered the rewards without choosing them. Meanwhile, the guild leaders carefully evaluated Kim's request. The Heretic Inquisitor expressed uncertainty, but eventually agreed to Kim's request. The Black Mage hesitated, but agreed after being urged by the Heretic Inquisitor. Viper and the Noble Lady also expressed their support. The Crusader agreed to Kim's request under the same conditions. Meanwhile, the Sword Saint refused to fully commit, only agreeing to monitor Kim for 5 days. Kim felt relieved by the presence of the Sword Saint. After the meeting, Kim stepped out of the royal palace. Once outside, the Sword Emperor was surprised to see the unmoving NPCs. Kim explained that the quest had not started yet because no one had claimed the reward or filled the required position to begin this quest. He revealed that if the Demon King died before the quest began, no one would be able to claim the reward from the Demon King, which would prevent any traitors from appearing. A notification from the Demon King showed anger, and a manifestation of a strong aura appeared in the clouds. A form of black liquid emerged and transformed into the Demon King. The Demon King was angry because Kim didn't choose a reward. Kim showed his sword and asserted his intention to kill the Demon King before the quest began, claiming that there would be no traitors and that he preferred a happy ending without sacrifice. The Demon King became angry and attacked Kim. Kim responded by raising his sword, ready to face the Demon King with the determination of a hero fighting alone. The endless 5-day phase began. The trauma from the Demon King haunted Kim as he endured the penalty from the system. In that memory, he saw a newly formed black liquid that then preyed on a frog. After consuming the frog, the liquid turned into a frog and stared at the sky with a blank look. The feeling at that moment made him want to live longer. Back to Kim's fight with the Demon King. The Demon King managed to kill Kim. Kim died and returned to 20 years earlier, 24 hours before the meeting with the Demon King. He marked his hand with a marker to count the number of times he died at the hands of the Demon King. When Kim arrived at the same time to face the Demon King, the Sword Emperor judged that the Demon King had no swordsmanship and only relied on great strength. Kim argued that knowing the direction of the attack could help him dodge. Kim fought the Demon King again, only to die and add another mark of failure on his palm. Kim was trapped in a time prison. He faced the Demon King over and over again, and it always ended in death. The Sword Emperor gave directions while mocking Kim. He kept trying to dodge the Demon King's attacks with the same result: death. Kim trained hard with the help of the Sword Emperor. He died over and over again and kept repeating the same day. In his heart, Kim felt like the world had stopped, and only his sword gave him a sense of time. He described every second as important, even if it was only for a single second that his sword made the world breathe again. With strong determination, Kim kept repeating the day and correcting his mistakes. He reduced the casualties on the battlefield. The Black Mage, who was initially delighted because the casualties were reduced, became even happier seeing the number of casualties decrease further. The time it took to clear the 11th floor got shorter, even though Kim still lost against the Demon King. In one loop, when he met the Demon King, Kim smiled happily. The Demon King was surprised and asked why Kim was smiling even though he was about to die. Kim replied that the Demon King didn't understand because he couldn't smile, and the Demon King attacked again, and Kim died once more. Kim was determined not to give up. He felt his sword was getting faster every day. Until one day, when he returned to the same moment and met the Black Wizard. Something was different. The Black Wizard bowed his head and said that there were no casualties in the conquest of the 11th floor. He then held Kim's hand, which was already covered in marker scribbles. No matter how many times he had died at the hands of the Demon King, the Black Wizard cried against Kim's chest in gratitude. That day, when Kim fought the Demon King again. When the Demon King launched his attack, a mirror blocked the Demon King's aura. Then the Black Wizard arrived, blocking the Demon King's attack with his abilities. Kim was surprised to see the involvement of the Black Wizard, who admitted he couldn't stand just watching anymore and wanted to join the battle. Kim and the Black Wizard decided to face the Demon King together. The Demon King became furious and used his own skill to summon thousands of monsters. The Black Wizard judged that the situation couldn't be handled alone and asked Kim and Sword Saint to teleport with him to escape. However, Kim decided to keep fighting. He then used the 100 Ghost summoning skill that he had copied from the Demon King. The Demon King was shocked to see that Kim had the same skill as him. The trauma the Demon King experienced during the system penalty continued. The black liquid that had devoured the toad continued to consume various animals, from snakes to eagles, until it finally swallowed a lioness. Every change in form brought new excitement and pleasure to the creature. One day, the creature in the form of a lioness saw a little girl lost in the forest. The child ran away, screaming for help. The creature chased and pounced on the little girl, devouring her whole body and absorbing her memories. The creature then took on the form of the child it had preyed upon. A man appeared who looked like her father. The child had a panicked expression. He was shocked to see his child's tattered clothes and asked why they were like that. The creature, now possessing the child's body, chose to play the role of the man's son with a happy face. Back to the battle, Kai used the same skill as the Demon King. But instead of summoning goblins and other monsters, what appeared were skeletons. Kai showed the Sword Emperor that he chose this skill because he wanted to summon back everyone he had killed. Although he was initially interested in other skills, like the one used by the Demon King, Kim eventually chose the ability to summon skeletons. The Sword Emperor was surprised to see the number of skeletons summoned by Kai, who appeared with his long green knife. The Black Mage also witnessed Kai's skill. Kai blushed upon hearing that assessment. The Demon King, surprised, questioned how Kai could have the same skill as him. Kim, in a mocking tone, had no intention of explaining. The Demon King was furious, threatening to unleash all his hatred and regret on Kim. Kim then asked for help from Sword Saint and the Black Mage to fight the Demon King together with the skeleton army he summoned. Kai's skeleton army attacked the Demon King's forces relentlessly. The skeletons were a reflection of Kai's fearless personality. The Demon King was furious. He considered Kim a threat from another world and shouted in anger. Kim, with a confident attitude, pointed his sword at the Demon King, asserting that he didn't care where he came from and stood firm before the Demon King. Suddenly, a notification from the tower gave Kim a new title, the King of Death. Kim jumped and attacked the Demon King with spirit. Kim died again. The Demon King's trauma resurfaced in Kim's memory as a penalty from the system. A little girl could be seen holding a small frog in her hand. This girl is Estelle. Estelle always looked young and beautiful, with a scent that captivated those around her. Estelle, who was known as the Holy Girl, was originally just a black liquid that was later regarded as a holy girl by many people because of the blessing from the goddess. In a temple, a mother asked Estelle for help to heal her child. Estelle took the baby and after holding it, commented on the fragrance and beauty of life, even though it was only wrapped in a rag. Estelle then devoured the baby. Her ability produced a new identical baby from her black fluid, and she returned it to the mother, who was touched without knowing the truth. Over time, Estelle gained many followers and was regarded as a savior. However, the rulers who felt threatened by her influence conspired to bring Estelle down. They attacked Estelle's place and killed all her followers, burned the place down, and called Estelle a heretical witch. Estelle could only watch the destruction and the death of her followers without being able to do anything. Her screams turned into a dark power that created the Demon King. Back to Kim's fight against the Demon King, Kim struggled to attack and eventually died in the battle. The skill that summons the skeleton army can't be used right now, and Kim has to wait 7 days before he can use it again. Kim's resurrection skill allows him to retain his memories and skills, as well as his status and level, every time he rewinds 24 hours. Kim keeps fighting. Even though the battle is tough and Kim keeps losing over and over again, he doesn't give up. When his skeleton skill activates again, Kim leads the skeleton army to attack the Demon King under the guidance of the Sword Emperor. With the powerful attack from the Black Mage, the Demon King suffers significant damage. The Demon King, now partially revealed from behind his black liquid, decides to retreat to the 13th floor, leaving a message that he will return. Kim feels frustrated because he didn't manage to kill him. A system notification appears, informing that the hidden quest has been updated with the name Warrior from the Stopped World. This quest challenges Kim not to let a single victim fall, and to keep fighting even though there is no recognition from others. Kim confidently accepts the quest, and the hidden quest notification is activated. After Kim decided to accept the quest from the system, a unique phenomenon known as Timeline Alteration 3 occurred, with light mages falling like autumn leaves, scattering around the Imperial Palace. The Black Mage, surprised, asked what was happening. Kim was also amazed, admitting that this was his first time witnessing such a phenomenon. The Sword Emperor revealed that he had never seen anything like this before. The small light moved toward the castle wall, causing the number of waving flags to decrease drastically. The Black Mage and Kim teleported to the top of the castle wall, where Kim saw an extraordinary change. The city that was once shabby behind the walls turned into a beautiful place full of vibrant life. Kim realized that the timeline had changed, altering the atmosphere of the city and the morale of the guards. Kim explained to the Black Mage that previously the Agam Empire was supposed to be invaded by the Demon King's army, but that event did not happen because the system had changed the quest for that floor. Kim felt satisfied because history had been rewritten without anyone else knowing. As Kim and the Dark Sorcerer admired the new scenery, the shout of a knight, Commander Sarbas, was heard. Commander Sarbas, angry, scolded them for being at the Imperial Gate without permission. Kim, recognizing Commander Sarbas from the past, smiled as he remembered a previous moment. Kim's laughter was full of pride and satisfaction as he announced his success in protecting the Empire. Kim's pride was evident as he shouted that he had fulfilled his promise. He felt neither shame nor regret. In his mind, Kim recalled his regretful past and celebrated today's victory. The system notification displayed the conquest contribution rankings. Kim was at the top as the King of Death, followed by the Black Mage and the Sword Saint. Commander Sarbas, confused, asked about Kim's statement. Kim asked Sarbas to protect the Empire and asserted that his duty as a hero was finished. Leaving the Empire's matters to be handled by Sarbas, Kim encouraged Sarbas with enthusiasm to find out more. Meanwhile, the Sword Emperor laughed at Kim's behavior. Kim felt proud and then asked the Black Mage to proceed to floor 13. The Black Mage looked at Kim strangely. He knew that no top-ranked hunter was without oddities. The Black Mage then grasped Kim's hand. Outside the castle area, the Black Mage asked Kim to be the first person to teleport. When Kim, the Black Mage, and Swordson arrived on the 13th floor, they saw the Demon King on top of a building, looking very angry and rampaging. The Demon King looked much weaker than before, and Sword Emperor told Kim through telepathy that the Demon King's condition might be caused by the serious injuries he received from the Black Mage. Since then, his level has dropped, making him even weaker than the demon general that Kim killed on the 11th floor. Sword Emperor was surprised because the floor bosses were supposed to get stronger as they climbed higher in the tower. The system then informed them that all of the hunter's rewards would be calculated after the 19th floor was conquered, and only a small reward would be given for now. Kim received the blessing of the God of War, which allowed him to see a minimap of floors 11 to 20. This minimap then transformed into a world map, giving him an overview of the entire continent. Kim realized the continent's history had changed, and they might be back before the king's attack. The Black Mage and the Sword Saint noticed this change, while Kim explained that the refugee shelter disappeared because the system had changed the quest. The Demon King they are facing now is not as strong as the one they fought on the 12th floor. Upon arrival, the Demon King used a skill to resurrect monsters, bringing dead knights and monks back to life as zombies. The zombies attacked, causing Kim to die in battle. Kim then repeated that day and returned to that moment, fighting the zombies again. Kim asked the Black Mage to find a solution to fight the zombies. Kim also asked Sword Saint to break through to the great peak that looked like a stone chest, hoping to find something useful. Sword Saint, who was hesitant, finally opened the chest, but unfortunately at that moment, Kim died from a zombie bite. In the next loop, Kim told Sword Saint that the stone chest was a secret compartment that held a hammer with the power to fight zombies. Sword Saint was hesitant, but eventually agreed to use the hammer with the help of the Black Mage. They managed to defeat the zombies, but then a giant one-eyed zombie appeared. The Black Mage said that it was a giant warrior guarding the temple. Sword Saint then tried to attack the giant zombie. The giant zombie's counterattack killed everyone. Kim stopped Sword Saint from attacking the giant directly and asked the Black Mage to focus on attacking the giant's eye. The Black Mage attacked the giant zombie's eye. However, the aura attack from the giant's eye killed them all. This time, Kim forbade the Black Mage from attacking the giant zombie's eye. After a lot of hard work, they finally managed to defeat the giant zombie thanks to good teamwork. After the victory, a notification appeared from the system, informing them that the Demon King had retreated to the 14th floor. A bright light restored the timeline in that area to the state before the Demon King appeared, with the priest saying, "Then, the child in the temple area and the one-eyed giant sleeping on the hill." The three of them continued their journey to hunt the Demon King. They fought and worked together to defeat monsters and chase the Demon King from floor to floor until they reached the 19th floor. Each setback weakened the Demon King's power. When they arrived on the 19th floor, the Demon King appeared small and weak. The Demon King expressed his frustration to Kim, accusing him of being the cause of this situation. Kim drew his sword and seized him. He challenged the Demon King to fight with all his strength, warning that if the Demon King ran away again, he would become even weaker. The Demon King looked even angrier, and Kim insisted that the Demon King must fight with all his strength or face the consequences of running away again. The Demon King's traumatic memories brought forth a terrifying scene. Buildings were burning fiercely. Screams and panic spread throughout the area. A woman stood motionless in the midst of the flames. Her expression showed deep shock. In her heart, she wondered why humans killed other humans. The woman remembered the arrival of knights from all corners of the continent, who were ordered by their leader to destroy her and her followers. They came representing all the kingdoms and rulers on the continent. In confusion and anger, the woman asked herself who they were and what right they had to burn people. He walked over the ruins of buildings that had turned to ashes and found his followers who had been burned to death by the flames. Filled with despair and anger, the woman knelt on the ground, feeling regret and emotions she had never experienced before. He took the ashes from the remains of the bodies and the burned buildings and ate them. In his heart, he realized that these creatures were also human, and he rejected the reality that they were called monsters. His body turned into a black liquid-like waste, and he wondered how people could so easily call other humans monsters. The black liquid moved toward a village, wondering why only they were allowed to have beauty. His anger and vengeance flowed like red rain soaking the earth, erasing everything in its path. Kim was seen sleeping among the corpses on the ground. The Sword Emperor woke him up, making Kim realize that he was not in hell. A system notification appeared, indicating that the trauma reenactment was complete. Back to the battle between Kim and the Demon King on the 19th floor, Kim's attacks pressed the Demon King even more, making him increasingly panicked. Kim noticed that the Demon King's body was getting smaller, and sludge was starting to peel off him. The system notification showed that the Demon King's presence was becoming more and more faint. The Demon King, panicked and anxious, expressed his anger and hatred. Kim ordered him to retreat to the 20th floor. He stated that the Demon King would not be able to defeat him and told him to return to where he came from. The Demon King was silent, not responding. Sword Saint saw Kim's determination and sheathed his sword. The Black Mage decided to leave the final attack to Kim, the King of Death. Annoyed, the Demon King decided to retreat to the 20th floor. The system notification confirmed the Demon King's retreat, and history changed. Kim asked for permission from Sword Saint and the Black Mage to clear the 20th floor alone, expressing his gratitude for their help so far. The Black Mage agreed to the request, recalling that he had already broken the promise not to interfere for 5 days. Sword Saint asked Kim to meet him after clearing the 20th floor, as there were still many things they needed to discuss. Kim teleported to the 20th floor, where the system notification greeted him as the Death King, and stated that he had entered the boss stage with the Death King as his opponent. The system granted the power to change skills and granted the limited power of an apostle. Kim was surprised by the notification, feeling confused by the choices given to him. While approaching the Demon King and drawing his sword, Kim pondered the purpose of the tower and the entity observing his decisions. He pointed his sword at the Demon King and prepared for the final battle. A system notification appeared, indicating that the boss stage had begun. Kim raised his sword, ready to face the Demon King. The Demon King revealed his anger and vengeance, mentioning the traces of burning and the lingering scent of smoke etched in his memory. He prepared to attack Kim with his sword. Kim realized that this was the smallest stage and the weakest boss monster. The Demon King attacked desperately, but Kim calmly blocked the attack. Kim reminded the Demon King how their positions were now reversed. Compared to when they were on the 12th floor, Kim pushed the Demon King away, highlighting how fair this world is. The Demon King screamed for Kim to die, but Kim's attack injured him. The system notification showed that the Demon King's presence was fading away. Kim kept attacking, and finally, the black liquid covering the Demon King's body melted away, revealing the body of a girl. The system notification announced that class readjustment had begun, and the Demon King's nickname was recorded. The girl panicked, denying reality and trying to protect herself. Kim approached her, explaining that she had no right to hold him accountable, and criticized the girl for her evil actions. The girl was stunned and couldn't respond to Kim's words. Kim revealed that he was not bound by responsibility to the world, and that it was only fair for the girl to feel the same suffering that she had caused. The girl was anxious and denied Kim's accusation, stating that she was unaware at the time. Kim emphasized that it was a human excuse, and that the person who hurt the girl might also give the same reason. Kim revealed that he was not highly educated, but he understood the justice of the world. Believing that it was fair, he decided to use the conquest reward to modify his skill. The system notification approved Kim's request, changing the skill Summon 100 Ghosts to Reincarnation of 100 Ghosts, which allowed Kim to summon creatures with their memories and appearances from when they were alive. Kim then told the girl that he would kill her and consider it the same as absorbing Estelle and the dead child. The girl, terrified, tried to attack Kim with her sword. Kim easily deflected her attack and broke her sword. The girl knelt down in despair. Kim was about to kill the girl, but the Sword Emperor stopped him. The Sword Emperor reminded Kim that the summoning skill might only apply to humans, while the girl was an NPC. Kim hesitated and asked the system if the 100 Ghost Reincarnation skill also applied to NPCs. The system notification stated that the question was beyond the tower's authority. The system notification then confirmed that Kim, as the King of Death, had the qualifications to be a temporary apostle. A golden light surrounded Kim, and the tower system acknowledged Kim's question as an official agenda. convening a majority conference of the 6 constellations of 10,000 lives. Suddenly, a bright light appeared in front of Kim, causing him to teleport and disappear. Kim was teleported to a place similar to his transitional dimension while waiting to be revived. The system notification confirmed the presence of the pillars of life. Kim felt the strong aura from the pillars. The system notification then confirmed the presence of all 6 pillars of life and asked a question about the reincarnation skill's ability regarding NPCs. Options to agree or disagree were provided. The pillars discussed in a language that Kim couldn't understand. Kim suspected that they were not beings from the tower, but rather entities who might have designed the tower. The system notification showed 2 votes in favor, 2 against, and 1 abstention. Kim suspected that there was a power that hadn't voted yet, possibly the master of the tower. Kim tried to speak, convincing them that agreeing was the right decision. He emphasized that the Demon King was his catch and rejected the option for NPCs not to be skill targets. A vague female figure appeared from behind the light, telling Kim to speak from the heart. Kim smiled and declared that the Demon King was his. The system notification confirmed that the first pillar, the master of all life, chose to agree, so NPCs were included as targets of the Death King's skill. The floor beneath Kim collapsed, and he returned to his original place. The Sword Emperor's voice woke Kim from his physical slumber, while the Demon King, who was now just a girl, knelt on the ground. Kim felt time spinning quickly, yet it seemed long. The Sword Emperor looked worried as Kim explained his experience in another dimension, involving entities like the Tower Master. Kim approached the girl, swung his sword, and killed her. Then, Kim used a skill to resurrect the girl. The black liquid transformed into the figure of a girl, who was now given the name Preta. Kim named the girl and ordered her to serve as his subordinate. The sound of horse hooves could be heard approaching. The system notification announced that the Demon King on the 20th floor could not be found, confirming the absence of the Demon King and the activation of a timeline change. Preta knelt in front of Kim in a panic, begging for her village to be saved. Kim granted the request and walked toward the approaching cavalry, blocking their path to the village. A knight, General Sarbas A. Gim, claimed authority and asked who dared to stand in their way. Kim smiled and asked about their purpose for being in such a remote place. Sarbas explained that they were acting on the Emperor's orders to cleanse the village of witches who incited the people and monsters. Kim recognized Sarbas from a previous encounter and realized that the whole world seemed to be united in punishing this village. Other troops also arrived, paladins from the temple. Kim saved on the 13th floor elves from the forest, wizards from the waterfall, volcano warriors, the merchant armored company, no match, and soldiers from the follower nation, as well as small territories from the 19th floor. Kim asked Sarbas about the Emperor's orders and criticized Sarbas for his indifference to the details of those orders. Sarbas showed confusion and was annoyed by Kim's treatment. Kim revealed that Sarbas and his troops did not properly understand the situation. Kim then raised his sword, which emitted a bright light. The sword was the legendary sword of the Agim Empire. Everyone was shocked to see it. Sarbas got off his horse and knelt down respectfully, followed by his men who also knelt. The soldiers, confused, watched the argument unfold. Sarbas asked Kim if he could explain his presence there. Kim firmly stated that he had defeated the sorcerer and pointed at Preta, who was kneeling. Preta was ordered to come closer, kneel, and carry out Kim's commands to the point of exhaustion. Kim loudly declared that the sorcerer had been defeated and would no longer pose a threat, giving reassurance to the troops. Sarbas and his men were shocked, while the representative of Quilpos doubted the claim. The representative of the sorcerers suggested confirming the truth using the soul orb, a crystal ball that can determine whether a soul is good or evil. The representative asked Kim and Preta to undergo the test with the crystal ball. When the blood of a good person is dropped onto the glass crystal, it emits a white light. On the other hand, the blood of an evil person gives off a black light. The representative conducted the test by dropping Preta's blood onto the glass crystal. Instantly, a deep black light appeared, indicating Preta's profound evil nature. The representative was shocked and called Preta a sinful creature, even a demon king. The representative then approached Kim and asked for his approval. Kim stated that he was ready. When Kim's blood touched the glass crystal, a very bright white light shone, making everyone around him feel dazzled and confused. The representative showed admiration and respect, calling Kim a being of light and saying that Kim is the apostle of the goddess. The representatives from the Quilpos Temple and the Merpeople Empire were shocked by this discovery, acknowledging that Kim is the messenger of the founder. However, the paladin from the Quilpos Temple still refused this decision and insisted on attacking the village. Kim warned the paladin that he is the one who determines divine punishment, and that all evil has been eradicated. Kim then activated his reincarnation ability, summoning thousands of skulls before him. Kim explained that it wasn't just wizards or evil creatures. All sins had to be erased. The skulls are the manifestation of sins that have been erased. The Merpeople Empire's representative was touched by Kim's efforts, while the Quilpos Temple Paladin requested assurance that the sinners couldn't escape. Kim summoned one of the skulls, which then revealed its memories. The skull reformed its body and memories, revealing that it was a connection. The system announced that the 20th floor had been conquered by Kim. In his mind, Kim felt satisfied after clearing all the floors up to the 20th floor in his own way. No hunters or citizens of the kingdom became victims. In fact, he managed to save many lives. Kim also realized that the 20th floor would have been completed on its own, even without his intervention. However, he understood that this final result was not a coincidence or due to a lack of other options. Kim judged that the day would be free from rain and fire, and that was the end. The floor was completed. The system notification confirmed that the 20th floor had been completed, and the 21st floor would be unlocked in 24 hours. Fireworks decorated the sky, and a countdown appeared. Unexpectedly, the Black Witch appeared and hugged Kim from behind with great excitement. She showed an article about Kim that highlighted his success on the 20th floor. The article showed that Kim had jumped to 3rd place in the tower, below the Black Witch and Swart Saint. The Black Witch reminded Kim that from now on he is a high-ranking hunter, and he should start acting like one. When asked about the troops setting up camp, Kim explained that they were soldiers from all over the continent attacking the 20th floor. Kim used his skills and items to trick them, making them believe that he was a royal envoy, so they retreated. The Black Witch was surprised to hear about Kim's ability to lie successfully. Kim explained that his ability allowed the floor to be cleared without any casualties. The Black Witch felt relieved and excited. With so many additional tower floors conquered, they no longer had to submit to outsiders in trade matters. The Black Witch and Marcus agreed to trade in the tower, and Kim offered his name as an envoy from the founder of the kingdom and the goddess to facilitate the trading process. Kim then requested the 20th floor just for himself. In exchange, he would not take the rewards from clearing floors 11 to 19, so the trading profits could be shared with the other hunters. The Black Witch found the offer interesting, but said it needed to be discussed with the other guildmasters. Kim, the Black Witch, and Marcus teleported back to the 1st floor. Kim felt that the time that had passed might have only been about 5 days for others, but for him, it felt like hundreds of days. Kim then let out a sigh of relief. Before leaving the gate, the Black Mage warned Kim not to be surprised. As they stepped out of the gate, Kim was startled by a crowd of reporters calling him the King of Death.